Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that it gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 161 today, and the 7th installment of our craftiest time of the year. It is our countdown to try to get as much done before the end of the year, whether it's our whips or just things that we are just wanting to see done in 2024 as much as possible. But to be fair, our Christmas, just in general, rundown, with it only being a week till Christmas, I honestly think that out of all the years we've done this in the past, we have gotten the most done in a reasonable amount of time, where it doesn't feel like we're going to be doing it up until the last possible second.
Yeah.
Obviously, we started late. We didn't get this going until December. Like, there's a lot of things that we still started in a later time, but there's a sense of we're meeting goals quicker.
Right.
Where I think that we're going to actually not be crafting up until Christmas. I think that we might have a couple of days of like, oh,
Right.
we could just be doing a leisurely project.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just Christmas related.
Too, you have practiced amigurumi over all this time, so it's coming faster to you.
Or I'm also doing realistic projects.
Yeah.
It's projects that are taking easier amount of time to complete.
Yeah. And having all the supplies first helps.
Yeah. I think that as a priority is actually becoming more realistic for me, because with how I craft, the ability to just be like, okay, I'll start this now and then go get the stuff tomorrow and then do this and do that. My motivation crashes fast if I don't feel like I have everything. Even if I'm not going to need everything right away, that satisfying ability to feel like I've gotten everything that I needed right away. So if I want to just end up not sleeping that night and just getting it all done in one night, I can choose to do that based off of how inspired I am in the moment to do so. And I think that that's the reality of being such a mood crafter, is that I run off of the adrenaline of the moment of getting that project done.
Yeah.
And so setting myself up for success to be able to complete the project in a timely manner means that there has to be a realistic boundary of having the stuff that I need ready for that to happen. Otherwise, I'm not going to be productive. It's just not going to happen. So, I do feel like this has been a good, and I also kind of feel like you setting us up with this craftiest time of the year countdown has been very helpful for me, because there's been this sense of it's a designated time
and
for
it's
this.
a deadline too.
And it's a deadline, where it's not like the whole free willy-nilly, you get to choose your deadline, therefore you are dictating your own success or doom based off of your level of procrastination or being able to see it. Whereas when you gave me that, okay, we're starting now, we're going to have these many installments for it, I was like, oh, so this is what we're not only showing off to you guys, but also like, this is our time to get this done out of the year. Like, this is, and you gave us 2 months, and I thought that wasn't unrealistic.
Right.
It's just been fun, and I'm very excited to see how much, my hope is to have everything else done by our next time to film.
Well, yeah, and then by the next time to film, it will be the end of the year.
Christmas.
Yeah. Well, we'll have Christmas, and then the next installment will be the end of the year.
Yeah, well, what I'm talking about is for Christmas gifts specifically.
Yes.
So I'm excited. So what have you gotten done?
Let me reach for it. I got the blanket done.
Be careful not to get it.
Yeah, I am. Okay, so I'm going to remind you. I used the Premier Just 1 Pound $5 yarn from Dollar Tree. And I used one full one and a partial, but Sarah had started me off with a ball that was probably this big. So I think I probably would have used like 1.5 of these.
Yeah.
So
I think so too.
and then I used the Bernat denim style, and it's so nice to work with.
It's a very it reminds me of the Karen, I think it's the Karen's ice cream yarns, or is it the Lionheart?
Maybe Lionheart? I'm not sure.
I just love it. What I'm getting at is I love it when a yarn brand takes the time to be like, I want to create a yarn that feels in the same vibe as this thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, oh, Christmas, but it's like, no, this is 90s Christmas, so it's gonna have all like the reds,
colors.
the orange, the blue, the green, or it's like a classic Christmas that was probably gonna have more of like the red, gold, green,
and the white.
So it's like, but then having something like this where it's like, it's made to look like denim, and it's so well done. It almost feels like the softness of a denim that's been worn and loved.
And it's so squishy and nice, and I love it. There was 13 of these when they gave them to me. When she gave them to me.
Okay.
And I used 8 in the blanket. So I am giving 5 of them back to you. And now for the blanket. I used the 2 strands. I used a 10mm hook, and I did 101 chains, so I came 100 back, and I made it as tall as I am, 5'4". So this material is so luscious. It's so
he's
nice.
gonna love this.
And it's
long.
completely a very nice, cushy, cozy blanket for her husband for Christmas. So
He's gonna love this.
and he doesn't know it's coming. He knows he bought the yarn for it. He might have even forgotten he's bought the yarn for it. And this is going to be a total, complete surprise. So I'm loving that. Second, my cousin has this little bit of a collection of cotton scarves that I have been just eyeing and loving on her. And so I decided to look into my stash. I used to be a quilter, so I have a little bit of yarn, or not yarn,
remnants
of fabric left. And so I looked in there and I saw this, and I have been into pine trees lately, just how they stay green and how perfect they are outside when it snows, and just it's so pretty. And cardinals, I have been into them too. Now this is going to be very, very hard to see because I can't see it just sitting here, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the pine trees. Oh, maybe. Oh, look at that. There's pine trees, like snow-covered, and red cardinals flying all over this. What I did was, it was already cut into a scarf length. So I just ironed it, sewed the edges, ran it through the washer, ironed it again to bring it here so that I could show it to you guys. After this, I'll be using it because it's winter out there, and I just need something wrapped around my neck so that it's nice and cozy. So that's the second thing I got done this week, and I decided to make a pattern. I had made a really cute owl pattern from Pinterest. It was really cute, but it wasn't going to work. I could see that. So I'm trying to figure out where my phone is.
We're at my place, so the environment's a little bit different than when we normally have our table that we have.
Yeah, we don't have our table. Yeah.
So
I found a picture
I did like that owl. It's just that
of an owl. Okay, so first of all, I will show you the pattern that I was going to do. Looked like this when I got done graphing it on the graph paper. It's cute, but it wasn't going to work. So
did you not save it?
No. And so I found a picture that somebody did, a painting of an owl, and I decided to draw it. And so that's what I want to show you. It's not going to look the same, but I decided to draw it on my graph paper, and then after I drew it, I drew the lines on the graph paper so I could figure out where I needed to be. And then I added a moon, and I colored it all in, and I started it. So this is where I'm at. I made my X's so that I know where to go, and what to do at what juncture, what line. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm getting at. So I have gotten, let me just take care of that a minute. I have gotten this far. So this is the tail feathers. This is the log.
The branch, whatever.
The branch. And I will start the owl after this. Now the feet, I'm probably going to have to do after I'm done with the owl. Because,
I like that though.
Because they curve. And it's not going to be, I don't want them, each square on the graph is a stitch. If you have a curve, it's not boxy.
It doesn't always work up well.
Yeah, it's not boxy. I want it to curve. So I will just embroider with yarn the feet when I'm done with the owl.
And honestly, it will possibly look great because you will have that feeling of it popping out because that's the only part of the picture that really is exterior to what feels like it's behind.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it'll almost kind of like pop out of the photo, those feet on the log, and it'll be kind of cool.
Also, on the tail feathers, I'm going to have to embroider so that I lose the blue. The tail feathers were going to be behind the branch, and with the blue here, that doesn't look like that's the case. So I will embroider over that blue and make sure that it looks like they're all connected to the owl. But that's
very smart.
Yeah, so with mosaic, you can do those kind of things. You can just go back and fix the things that aren't working and make it look like, yeah. Once this is done and I know that it works, I can add it to a blanket if I want to. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to add this to a blanket, like, but I would be able to incorporate a blanket with the owl later on. Yeah. I'm just testing the waters first.
Yeah, you're kind of making just like a swatch, like something to confirm that it translates from pattern to product.
And
it's almost like a beta test or something.
I am using the ombre blue for the background.
Okay.
And I'm using a
tweed. It's a tweed yarn.
Tweed, and it is.
I love that.
It's going to be like a beautiful owl.
It's It's almost going to be like a barn owl look.
Yes, it's going to be a perfect owl. So I'm so looking forward to seeing if this works, because if it does, it's going to make a beautiful blanket.
And this could be a really cool wall hanging.
Yeah, yeah. You could make it bigger or smaller. I just have to make sure that it works first. So I am very excited about this and making, because you only do one line at a time, you can put this down, pick it back up, and keep going. Now I don't know where it went. Okay. I have a piece of paper that I use
to tell you where you are.
To tell me where I am, and I just keep moving it up,
with paper clips.
Yeah, I have paper clips on either side, and then when I get to a certain point at the top, I start having to look at the underneath the paper, because then you're running out of room up here, but you still need to get these done. So you start looking underneath the paper instead of on top of it.
And you could always just draw an arrow on the paper so you know what side of the edge of the paper that you're...
Yeah. So...
that would always be my thing. Like, especially if I've worked up this pattern all the way up this way, my brain is used to looking up. Even if you can't see what's on top, my brain would naturally just keep looking.
Yeah.
And so having like that arrow, like especially if you color it in with like a really odd colored Sharpie or something, it would draw your eye to that and make it easier to be like, oh yeah, that's how I'm supposed to look at it.
So that's all the things that I have gotten done this week.
The thing that I like about that, the idea that you can make mosaics and possibly create like these scenes, is that you could potentially like create not only just scenic looks or aesthetic repeating patterns like you did with that lap blanket, that one that looks like it was like almost like knots or like a woven,
the chains.
You want to know what that picture reminds me of?
What?
The owl. It reminds me of the story of the mitten. Do you remember the mitten, where the mitten gets caught on the hedgehog, and then and hedgehog doesn't realize that it's on him.
All her willies that were hanging on the line.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden, all the other woodland creatures go to take something off of the line, and a kid is like, where's all my stuff?
She's chasing her clothes all through the woods with the animals taking them all.
And it just reminds me of that, and I could just imagine you creating themed blankets based off of love stories.
Like Jan Brent.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Or you could
make a story.
Yeah,
blanket.
Like Alice in Wonderland when she's looking up at the Cheshire Cat, or like just scenes from a child's, or like Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah.
Like just take a moment and then scenes, because you can write words with these too. So you could do a quote and then do like a scene, or
She just hit my heart. That is really, really good.
Because I feel like that would make really custom blankets or custom wall pieces. Because how when you were a quilter, you used to make those wall art hangings. Yeah, I feel like you could do that with these, because you just deliberately put the rod on top and the rod on the bottom so that it holds the weight and keeps the tension well. Yeah. And then you could gift it. And then with that, it's easy to roll up for people who are like, okay, it's a seasonal thing like Christmas or whatever, and it's easy to keep protected for them because you've already created that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is a great idea. I love that.
Because you like to do things like that. So it's and that way, if you end up doing things on the outside where it's you sew buttons for different detailings, because you were talking about how you were having a hard time yesterday figuring out how to do the specific spots. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you just put a sparkle button on those spots that are supposed to create a reflection, or so it's you're making wall art. Because, you can do it for a blanket, but, if you're deliberately thinking, because this is art to me. It's not that it can't be a blanket.
Right.
But when I see the blankets that I've shared with even our viewers that are my great grandparent or my grandma's made, like great grandma Udall and grandma Garvey.
Right.
Those blankets never got used. They were always displayed.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
And they were always like those centerpieces of I made that.
Yeah.
And you don't touch it.
Right.
But I made it.
Yeah.
And there's very few times where grandma would let me use the blanket because it was the only one that was available, but I wasn't allowed to eat with it. I wasn't allowed to do anything with it. And I completely respect it. It's like a piece of freaking art. And I'm so grateful I was blessed to be able to have those as heirlooms. But that's kind of the thing with this. You used to make wall art stuff. It wasn't just because when you're quilting, a lot of times people just associate it with creating quilts, things that lay on you. My mom loves making those sort of things, which is why it translated to doing the yarn crafting well, because she could make blankets and afghans.
I made art quilts.
But you love to make scenes and art quilts. But then for smaller gifts, you would make those wall hangings. You would get a quote, or you would sew a quote, and so we would pin it on the wall. I even still have some of those from when I was a teenager, and I know Josh does. So I really think that you getting back into the aspect of this really isn't designed to be necessarily worn, and you have to worry, oh, is it going to stretch, is it going to tear, is it going to tug, because sometimes the backs can't be perfect, and I know that's something that you've talked about, but you could sew like that cotton piece on the back so that no one can see it.
Yeah, we could put a muslin on the back.
Or one of those flannel blankets that are really cheap this time of year because it's one of those stocking stuffers.
Yeah.
You could do that and sew it on the back, so if you do want to make it a blanket, it's stable. It's stable. I think that you should really look into that, because I know that you are very because imagine a gift where you do that, you make maybe a pillow with it, and then you gift it with the book that is the theme.
Oh
as
my gosh.
As a huge thing for your reading friends, or your author friends, or I really think that would be
really hitting my heart now. I love that idea, and I'm going to be writing it down as soon as we're done with this filming.
Because I really think that would be really something that you would really enjoy, and that would be a great white elephant gift idea for you.
Oh yeah,
because you like to thrift books, and you collect yarn and stuff like that, so it's just more of a time thing, right? It's not like I need to spend $25 for you. It's it's really not that expensive for you to grab those thrifted items, and then it just be your time, and then it can look, it's quality.
Well, it's going to be one of a kind. Nobody else is going to have done it.
And then it can be I can have my themed blanket with this, because some of my I know some people that knit the socks that the character wore in the book, or knit the sweater that the character wore in the book, and then they gift it together. With this, it could be a scene or a wall art or something. And I really think that would be something that would be really cool gifts for you could do that for Noah, for Nicholas, for Braxton, for Journey, for Olivia, for Daniel. Because I can imagine that you'd be I can make an Olaf, or I can make a Godzilla, or a dinosaur, or Stitch, or whatever, and then you could have sayings like Aloha underneath the Stitch, or even with Braxton, he loves farm animals and those sort of theme stuff, or you could do video game characters or stuff like that, because it's this is pixel art, and that's what a lot of video games, the retro games, are all pixelated stuff. I really think
forward to this.
I really think that this would be a high quality, if you really get into this as your side thing, that's I want something more than just the blanket.
Yeah.
This would be something that scratches that itch, and you could be productive.
And I could still be making art.
Yeah.
Look forward to this in the new year, because I think we just hit on a good idea.
Well, the thing is that I know that you guys don't know her from her prior hobbies, but she used to do this all the time with fabric. This was her thing, and I know that you've seen her scrappy fabric projects where it's kind of a compilation of an idea, and my kids still have those, those things that you made them last year, where it had all the little you had Caniel, you did that thing where it was all like cars themed. Do you remember the wall hanging in like Olivia? It was like fairies.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah.
and it was like meant to be like for the wall, like this conglomerate idea of the occult. It was like
it's a collage.
A collage, yeah. But it was made out of fabric, and it was that slow stitch idea that you did with Jane. This it doesn't have to be a flat mosaic.
Right.
You make that the canvas,
and then you add things to it.
Fabrics, textures, buttons.
Yeah.
You could still do like when you made that scenic look for the Christmas thing with all the buttons and the gems that you made the Christmas tree thing. You could do that and things like that for the backgrounds of that so that they can pop out.
Yeah. This is an idea, Lord, and we are doing it.
But we'll talk about this after.
Yeah.
But I enjoy crafting. Obviously, I wouldn't be on a crafting channel if I didn't. But there's a level of being able to put something that's in your brain out into the world that is so scratches an itch like nothing else.
Yeah.
There's something about having that idea and it coming out well.
Yes.
And some of the things I've made this week
so
have definitely been that. So my daughter's really into birds right now. It is her favorite animal, and I think that's quite unique because not that birds aren't a great animal, but I feel like traditionally you're looking at a little girl going from, oh, I like unicorns to I like ponies, or like we live in Michigan, so maybe deer, or I like cats, or I like dolphins because I like I like mermaids or something, where it's like it's themed. This kind of came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, this summer, she showed her love for birds. And it just popped out of nowhere, and it was a blessing because she was having such a hard time with bugs this year, and things that were going out, that the birds were what was keeping her engaged to going outside.
Yeah.
And so this year I decided to make her a pet bird.
Isn't that great?
It is fully stable, and it does stand, but these are wire that I wrapped with yarn so they can move and mold, and it can act, and it's a 3-pronged foot, so she will be able to attach it wherever she wants. The wire does go all the way down to the bottom tail feathers, so she can make it angled in any way that she wants to. And I made it a rainbow bird. Originally I was trying to make something more like a parrot, but then I didn't get the body and the perfect, because parrots are long birds, and I didn't do a very long bird, but I did kind of like the parrot colors, like the themes of like how they the gradients of how very vibrant birds normally is the higher rich oranger colors, and then it goes to a more intense rich colors on the bottom, like vibrant to richer colors. That's normally I feel like how I've been seeing it. But when I got done and the red was just stuck at the top, I was like, it feels like it still needs something. So I kind of did a cockatiel pattern of doing just the feathers that stick up at the top, and I gave it some pink and a little bit more white.
It's so cute. She's going to love it.
If the only regret I have is if I had bigger eyes. I wish I'd had bigger eyes.
I think it's good.
Because some of the homemade birds that I had seen online had the bigger eyes, and I liked the proportion of how the eyes looked on the face better. But I still think that the blue eyes, where I lined them with the white based off of that inspiration, still looked great. And I think that she is going to love this bird. I did make sure that there was a little tongue in its mouth. I know the beak is kind of crazy, but the beak was the thing I was actually having the hardest time with out of everything. I was struggling with the beak, but I'm very proud of this, and I'm excited for her to see this. She's going to love it so much.
Speaking of eyes, Do you have great big yellow around eyes?
I have yellow, like almost topaz eyes, but they are not big. They're probably the size of this.
Oh.
Like I said, when it sometimes with the safety eyes,
Or brown?
I do. I do. Well,
I'm thinking I could have some eyes
safety eyes
for my owl.
Yeah.
Ideas. I love ideas.
I will show you how to start look at the safety eyes go by millimeter size, the same as the crochet hooks.
Okay.
And I can show you
How to order them myself?
Or buy them, yes.
Okay.
Or how some people create an assembly for them. So you can choose the size, and then you can choose the shade of the eyes on the back.
Okay.
So I'll show you that later.
Okay.
But yeah, this is the one bird that I got done. But then I had a second bird because my nephew loves ancient creatures, like animals that once lived on the earth, whether it be dinosaurs or, like, let's say saber-toothed tigers, or just animals who have gone extinct, whether it be in the Jurassic, Triassic, periods of the earth. He loves those animals. And you would say, but you would be surprised how many of those get represented, whether it be in a stuffy form or whatever, because in reality, you have kids that are like super in love with dinosaurs, but then the only dinosaurs that get represented are like the top 5, and then the rest of them are just completely like water dinosaurs are never represented. Like he's talked about this before, but one of the ones that he mentioned that is like a classic extinct animal but still doesn't get represented very well is the dodo bird. And to be fair, I thought that was a very interesting animal for him to choose for me to make, because the last time I've ever seen a dodo bird being in any sort of media besides Ice Age, which dates it to that sort of era of like the mammoths and stuff, was when I saw it in Alice in Wonderland. And I recognized that it was in that area, or like it was just a recently discovered remained bird at the time. I don't know when they went extinct, but that's when I that's how I was introduced to the animal in a memorable way. Obviously I'd seen them in Ice Age, but like I really took them to heart with the dodo bird in the Alice in Wonderland stories, whether it be Looking Through the Looking Glass or just Adventures in Wonderland. I loved the dodo bird because he was such a quirky character. And so I am currently in the works of making this dodo bird. I still have to get its wings on and get its legs, and I'm going to have him sitting so his legs are going to be protruding out like this so it holds him still. But I am very pleased with the shape that I have concocted for this guy, and I had to really work in my brain to figure out how I was going to make the frame. So I actually have it spiraling inside the head, and then it comes down into a huge hoop like this inside. So it spiraled inside the head, so I actually twisted it in like a corkscrew.
Right.
And then I brought it in and I have it spiraled in here so that I could squish it down in here, but in here it will hold the frame. And I wanted to make sure it was wide in here so that it stayed stable, so that I could move the neck where I wanted it, and that he could too. So I'm very proud of this guy because I really think that the shape of the head and like the body itself, like especially its side profile, looks so good. But I even gave it some eyelids, like some extra definite. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well, but in real, on this side camera, you can see the eyelids, the extra definition. I got the inspiration for the shape of the face from other people who had done it. I was looking at how other people have created dodo birds on Pinterest, and I kind of took inspiration from their how they had concocted it. I did not end up doing any sort of pattern. These are both been patterns done from my brain. I took inspiration from other people's finished works off of Pinterest to concoct it in my head. I'm not going to act like that isn't important, because it really is for me, but I did everything else on my own. So I'm working on the wings, and I am working on the feet right now. So next time you see us next week, I will have this completely done. And I'll explain how I got those things done. Most of these are obviously just in the round. They're generalized shapes in the round, flattened or repurposed. I will tell you how I did the feet and the wings next week. The only thing I will say is that with this guy, the nose, all this is I went into the round and I made like a generalized ball shape, and then I just did a taper, a decrease, and instead of stuffing it, I squished it so that it would be curved and not filled, and it was able to form itself right onto the already created ball that was its nose, pushed it on, and so now I just made sure that the tapered end was on the bottom, and
so cool.
That's all it had to be.
That is so
That's what
so
the
good.
bird said, man. So I'm excited. I made sure it had tail feathers. I thought that was cute. That
It
they
is
curl.
cute.
So it's a baby dodo. That's why it's so small.
Well, he's going to love it.
And
Olivia's going to love her bird.
And so far I have made something for my recently adopted niece. And I'm almost done with my nephew Noah, and I'm going to be going into Nicholas's, which is a Luigi that he asked for. I have decided that for Braxton, I'm not actually going to be crocheting him a toy. I am going to buy him, I've decided not to do the joke book. I'm going to get him a riddle book so that he has riddles that he can put on people. Because he's already got a joke book, so it was one of those, like, I don't know what joke book he has.
Right.
So I'm going to do a riddle book. And I'm going to make him a book cover. A
Yes.
book sleeve so that it doesn't break inside of his bag if he throws it in.
Okay.
So I'll crochet him
Yes.
something, but it's going to be something more on theme for what he's doing because I feel like he's maturing.
He's going to be 13 next month.
And so there's a sense of and this guy is going to a 12-year-old, but I would like to say this 12-year-old has made a history of collecting all these very specific time period animals. So this is not just going to just like a...
I think it's going to be a forever thing.
Like that passion and hobby is going to mature along with him. So
I think he's going to be a paleontologist. So
honestly,
this would just really be
just
on task.
A historian in that field. He is so well versed and knowledgeable in it. So it's one of those things where it's like, this isn't just a toy. This is just a part of this vast collection. This will be his collection. Yeah. So he was just like, I can't find a stuffy like this, so you make me that, and that would be... I was like, okay, I can do that. So it's like, I feel like that was right on point. Had Braxton told me directly what he wanted, that would have been fine. I would have made him something too. But the last time I hung out with him, he was straight up telling me joke after joke after joke after joke.
Yes.
So I'm doing something to that theme, but just having that whole, like, I will do a book cover for his book is like, okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And I might put like question marks doodles on it, so it's like themes.
Enigma.
Yeah.
So is that done?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. All the other things that I are either working on or trying to finish or start, I will share with you next week. We've kind of gone a little bit longer, so we'll give you the update as to what I get done by next week.
So I have a little poem this time, and I think it speaks well to
the theme of this
the
episode.
Christmas.
Oh, the Christmas spirit?
Yes. A bell's not a bell till you ring it. A song's not a song till you sing it. Love in your heart is not put there to stay. Love isn't love till you give it away. And that is said by Oscar Hammerstein, written on his deathbed to the great Broadway musical star Mary Martin. A bell's not a bell till you ring it. A song's not a song till you sing it. Love in your heart is not put there to stay. Love isn't love till you give it away. So with that, we want to say Merry Christmas. Subscribe, tell your friends.
Yes, I love that. That's so good. Oh, God. As always, thank you for joining us today. I know we went a little bit longer, but I hope that we have inspired you alongside your hobbies of the Christmas season.
We hope to get you excited to make your things.
Yes, it's the craftiest time of the year.
Yes.
We're almost to Christmas. Get a move on. If I'm staying up late, you have to too, okay? Like, get it going. But as always, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Hope to see you then with our finished projects, and hopefully to see and hear in the comments what you've gotten done. Feel free to share with us. We read every single one of them.
Yes, we do.
And as always, we hope that you stitch your way
to mental health.